Hi, I'm Joe Salvamini. I'm principal of Carlson Home Hospital School, and we are now getting ready to view the Supplemental Teacher Orientation video, Part 5, and this one is regarding the mileage form. Now, I want to recap that in Part 4, we talked about the Register Payroll form. And on the Register Payroll form, you were told that the down at the bottom it says month 6 mileage, month 7 mileage, month 8 mileage, and so forth. Okay, so that's where you get the mileage form. You click on that tab, and then you'll get the mileage form like this. And your mileage form should already be pre-populated with your name, your employee number. I believe the new ones that are going out will already have the dates up there, and then you will populate in here the date, what student you saw, what the reason was, and more than likely it's because of home teaching. You might have to come to the Carlson office, by the way, and you do get mileage for the Carlson, coming to the Carlson office. Anything that's related to working with the students at Carlson, you are potentially eligible, and I use the word potentially eligible to claim mileage. And we're going to get into how to claim that mileage. Okay, but you put in the number of miles, and then it automatically populates it here, the column totals, and then it takes this and puts it onto your Register Payroll. So whatever the total mileage is here, it gets put onto the Register Payroll, and it's very important that you hand in the mileage form at the end of each month in which the mileage was earned. Okay, because we're not going to see it if you hand it in after the fact. You need to hand it in when it's due. Okay. Now, how do you calculate mileage for Carlson? Okay. The district expects that when you leave your home and when you arrive at school, they expect you to get to school. That's basically what the district is considering expected mileage. Now, basically, you have to do the round trip. You go from home to school, from school to home. You're expected to do that, expected mileage. So let's say, for example, you live 10 miles away from school, then you're expected to be traveling 20 miles every day. If, as a result of your job, you're still traveling 20 miles, you don't get any mileage because that's expected. However, what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show you a number of different examples, and we're basically using this formula up here, which is total mileage that you traveled in the day minus the expected mileage equals the mileage that you're allowed to claim. Okay, so in this example here, you have one home student and you're going from home to school, and that's 15 miles. Now, from school to the student, let's say at 3 o'clock you leave here and you go to the student to arrive there at 3:30, it's 10 miles. Now from the student, for you to go back home, it's another 10 miles. So, that day, your total mileage, when you went from home to school, 15 miles, school to student, 10 miles, student to home, 10 miles, 15, 10, and 10 equals 35. Your expected mileage that day was 30, round trip over here, right? So therefore, you get to claim 5 miles that day, as it relates to Carlson. Let's go to the next example. This next example, we have 2 students that you're working with in a given day. Remember, you can't serve more than 2 hours in a given day, but you can serve 2 students 1 hour each. So from home to school is 10 miles. Okay? And then, so that's, you're expected to travel 20 miles that day. But from school to student 1, you go 5 miles. From student 1 to student 2, it's 10 miles. From student 2, and then you happen to come by the Carlson office. Maybe you had to hand in some paperwork. Maybe you had to, check out, in the resource room some books for the student. but you went from student 2 to the Carlson office, and then from Carlson back home. You add all this up. 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 10 is 25, plus 10 more is 35, plus 5 is 40. Is my math right? Okay, so it's 40 total miles that you traveled in the day. You were expected to go round trip from home to school for 20 miles. Therefore, you get to claim 20 miles in this scenario. Okay, now, you may have the situation where home to school, that the student is basically right in the middle. In that case, you know, it's 25 miles for you to go from home to school, but it's 10 miles from school to the student, and then from the student back to your home it's 15 miles, but basically it's because the student's on, you know, in the same path as you know, home to school. And so therefore you add up the mileage that you traveled. You went from home to school, then you went to the student, then from the student to home. It was, you know, your total mileage for the day was 25 miles, but your expected miles was 25. Therefore you get 0. I think that's it. Okay, so if you have any questions about mileage, talk to your rep.